сегодня о рисках, связанных с развертыванием США ракет средней дальности в Европе и Азиатско-Тихоокеанском регионе. Мы будем на такие угрозы комплексно реагировать. При этом важнейшая задача – обеспечить своевременное обнаружение старта таких ракет и их перехват. Одновременно нужно отладить все вопросы серийного производства и развертывания подобных ударных отечественных систем, в том числе и гиперзвуковых. Как известно, новейшим мощным оружием России стал ракетный комплекс средней дальности «Орешник». В ноябре, в ответ на удары по территории нашей страны с применением западного оружия, он был успешно использован. Использовались баллистическая ракета в безъядерном гиперзвуковом оснащении. В ближайшее время должен быть обеспечен серийный выпуск таких комплексов для защиты безопасности России и наших союзников. И это, безусловно, будет сделано.
This is my video update on this Monday afternoon, December the 16th, coming to you from Nicosia, Cyprus. Let's talk about some news. And let's start things off with some breaking news, which is that we are getting reports of an Assad letter that has been published. This would be the first statement from Bashar al-Assad since the collapse of Syria. Hard to tell if this letter is legit. I've read some analysts saying this letter is legit. Other analysts are saying this letter does not look legit. I can't tell. It's just a letter, to be honest. It just looks like a letter typed out on a Word document, to be quite honest. So maybe it is coming from the office of Assad. Maybe it's not. Hard to tell at this point. I read the letter very quickly before recording this video, and it doesn't really say anything interesting or new, groundbreaking. No groundbreaking statements or revelations from Assad, if this really is Assad, in this letter. He talks about his whereabouts during the final days of his government. He says that he did not abandon Syria. He did not evacuate Syria. He was working as president up until the final day. And he says that he will issue a statement with more details when the time is right. That was the letter. I'll give it another read and see if there's anything interesting that I missed, as I was in a rush to read it and get this video recorded. But that's the alleged letter from Assad that dropped today. And in Moscow, we had the Ministry of Defense Council meeting, which is an annual meeting which takes place with the Ministry of Defense, top command, generals. Defense Minister Belousov was there. Russian President Vladimir Putin was at this meeting. Putin spoke. Belousov, he gave an interesting statement. He talked about casualty numbers for Ukraine. So the Russian defense minister, he said that Ukraine, since the beginning of the special military operation, the military of Ukraine has suffered about 1 million losses, total losses, KIA and wounded. He said that in Kursk, the losses for Ukraine were at 40,000. For 2024, he put the Ukraine military losses at 560,000. This is coming from the Russian Ministry of Defense, so keep that in mind as I read you these numbers. He also said that 427,000 servicemen have signed contracts with the Russian army this year. And he stated that the Orezhnik will be entering mass production in 2025. And the Russian military will also create a new branch, which will be the drone systems troops, a branch of the military dedicated to operating drones. He also said that Russia is preparing for a conflict with NATO in the next 10 years. So some interesting statements from the Russian Ministry of Defense, if you believe those numbers that he put out today. Trump, when he posted on Truth Social, he put the numbers, the casualty numbers for Russia. I believe it was at 600,000, and Trump said Ukraine was at 400,000. And Zelensky, he issued a statement after Trump's post on Truth Social, and he said that the casualty numbers for Ukraine were at 40,000 or 43,000. So those are the numbers, I guess, from all sides. In Bakrovsk, the Ukraine military, 1,000 soldiers in the Bakrovsk area, they deserted. Yeah, these were the French, the NATO French-trained soldiers in Bakrovsk deserted. That was interesting news. And Orban trying to call Zelensky to talk about diplomacy and a ceasefire was snubbed. Zelensky refused to talk to the Prime Minister of Hungary. This is after Orban called Putin. He then wanted to talk to Zelensky, and Zelensky said, no, don't want to talk to you. Don't want to talk to you because you talk to Putin, I don't want to talk to you. This is what the foreign minister of Hungary said, Peter Szijjártó. And Orban, in a radio interview that he gave, he said that one side accepted a Christmas ceasefire and the other side did not. I wonder what Trump is going to think when he hears this statement from Orban. That, yeah, Russia accepted a Christmas ceasefire from Orban, who is very much acting as the mediator, liaison between Russia, Ukraine, and the United States until Trump takes office on January 20th. Trump's gonna hear these words from Orban, that one side accepted the ceasefire and the other side did not only not accept the ceasefire, but they also did not even want to talk to Orban. And got to imagine that Trump is not going to be very happy with the Green Goblin. Anyway, there it is. Trump's NSA guy, who will be taking over for Jake Sullivan, Mr. Waltz, he said to CBS News that what the Trump administration is aiming for with Project Ukraine is not just a ceasefire, but they want a permanent end to the conflict. He didn't get into any details, so we don't know exactly what the plan is for a permanent end to the fighting in Ukraine, between Russia and Ukraine. And the president of Slovakia, Pellegrini, he said that the Zelensky regime is going to have to accept territorial loss in order to get to a peace in Ukraine. Meanwhile, Keir Starmer, the most exciting man in politics, he said that he was speaking to the G7 via a video conference with the G7 leaders. He said what needs to happen is that the G7 needs to maximize Putin's pain. Wow. Keir Starmer, man. Tough words from Keir Starmer. Very tough words from Keir Starmer. Maximize Putin's pain. Wow. Wow. Clubber Lang, what is your prediction for the fight with Rocky Balboa tomorrow? I predict pain. Remember that line from Mr. T in Rocky 3 when they ask him to predict the fight with Rocky Balboa, and Mr. T, Clubber Lang, says, I predict pain. Keir Starmer wants to maximize Putin's pain. Good luck with that, Keir Starmer. Good luck with that. And of course, Keir Starmer said that the pain has to be maximized on Putin in order to give the Zelensky regime more leverage as negotiations will eventually happen. So that was a statement from Keir Starmer to the G7. We have an EU foreign ministers meeting taking place in Brussels. And Kallas, the stunning and brave new foreign minister of the European Union, the chief diplomat Kallas, was asked about EU troops in Ukraine. And Kallas actually said, no, there are going to be no European EU troops in Ukraine, no peacekeepers in Ukraine, because according to Kallas, we have not reached a ceasefire in Ukraine, and the peacekeepers from Europe will be sent to Ukraine once we get a ceasefire. She also said something about Lavrov, but I forgot what she said about Lavrov. She's very jealous of Lavrov because Lavrov is an awesome diplomat, and Kallas, well, she's just stunning and brave, and that's it. But I forgot, what did she say about Lavrov? She said that there are going to be no peacekeepers in Ukraine because we haven't had a ceasefire. But she also said that, she said, listen to what Lavrov said during his interview with Tucker Carlson, that Russia is not ready for peace or negotiations or something along those lines. Anyway, that was a statement from Kallas. And we have the drones situation in the United States. Let's talk about the drones in the U.S. because we got this strange TikTok video that was posted by the CEO of Saxon Aerospace. But he's not really the CEO of Saxon Aerospace, even though the reports are saying he's the CEO of Saxon Aerospace. Saxon Aerospace is actually a different company, and he's the CEO of Saxon Unmanned. It's a bit confusing, or maybe not that confusing. Let me see if I have this bookmarked. From Zero Hedge, new theory. New Jersey drone sightings might be nuclear sniffers following elevated NYC radiation levels. Yeah, John Ferguson, Saxon Aerospace CEO, but the company is actually called Saxon Unmanned, and there's a different CEO for Saxon Aerospace. And no big deal. No big deal. It doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter. This CEO that specializes in drones said that most likely what the drones are doing, given that the activity is mainly taking place at night, is that they are looking for gas leaks or radioactive material. And then he relayed a story about a friend of his or someone that he knew who was telling him about a nuclear weapon or nuclear material that was coming from Ukraine, being transported from Ukraine to the United States, and he tied that into his statement. It was a very bizarre statement from this CEO. These drones are not nefarious in intent, but if they're drones, the only reason they would be flying that low at night is because they're trying to smell something on the ground. My belief is that these drones are trying to smell something on the ground, if that's gas leaks or radioactive material or whatever. And then he went on to talk about nuclear material from Ukraine. I'm trying to see if I have the quote from him. I spoke to a gentleman a few months ago who was trying to raise the alarm to the highest level for our government about this one particular nuclear warhead that he physically put his hands on that was left over from Ukraine, and he knew This thing was headed towards the United States. Saxon Aerospace, as John Ferguson stated in the video. He continued, everyone knows that this administration is pushing to get into war with Russia. What can you say about this statement? It's freaking everybody out. His TikTok went viral, and now everyone's talking about the drones possibly being there to look for radioactive material. I don't know if this is to be believed. I can't comment on this one bit. All I'm doing is reading you his statement, and this is a statement that has gone mega viral and has a lot of people talking about the drones and what they're doing, and why the Biden White House and the Pentagon refuses to tell the American people, the people of the world, what these drones are up to, because they know what they're up to. They must know what they're doing, what these drones are doing, but they don't say a word. So now you're getting all kinds of different theories and speculation, and experts in the field are giving their opinion as to what these drones are doing. I don't know. I floated out two theories yesterday. I guess this is a third theory. And that's what this is. It's a theory, because no one really knows what these drones are doing. And I wonder if we're ever going to find out what these drones are doing. So the Gateway Pundit, they put out an article today talking about Gonzalo Lira. And the Gateway Pundit, it's a very good article. Find the article so I can read you the title here. Judicial Watch, Freedom of Information Act bombshell. How the Biden State Department let YouTuber Gonzalo Lira die in Ukrainian prison. That's the article from the Gateway Pundit. And the Gateway Pundit, they filed for a Freedom of Information Act to get the specific communication that was taking place between Gonzalo's attorneys and the U.S. State Department, and I believe they said Newland, and the U.S. ambassador to Kiev. And that Freedom of Information Act has been delayed. And I believe the Gateway Pundit said that they will get the emails, the specific conversations that took place in 2026, if I remember from the article. But what they did get is they got Judicial Watch's Freedom of Information Act, which is a broader request that was made of the communication that was taking place between the U.S. State Department, the consulate in Kharkov, the U.S. State Department, and the embassy in Kiev. And it's an interesting, actually it's a big document, and the parts that the Gateway Pundit highlights are very interesting, because in the article they give the timeline as to what happened with Gonzalo leading up to his arrest, his release, going to the border in Hungary on August the 1st. And then they even talk about how on August the 2nd, this is actually in the document from the Gateway Pundit article, that it was RT that reported that Gonzalo had been apprehended by the Ukrainian authorities on August the 2nd. And then the Gateway Pundit talks about how on August the 3rd, the consulate, the U.S. consulate, they sent a message, the American Citizens Services of the U.S. Embassy, of the State Department, the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine, they actually wrote to other American Citizen Services offices in Hungary, Moldova, Slovakia, and Romania, the general direction in which Gonzalo Lira was attempting to flee Ukraine, as a heads up from Kiev. ACS, most relevantly, to Hungary, but potentially to all neighbors. Gonzalo Lira is a U.S. citizen and outspoken pro-Putin blogger, previously arrested in Ukraine on charges related to wartime propaganda. Mr. Lira is very popular among certain niche populations, and our public inbox is full of his followers. After his arraignment, the Ukrainian government released him on bail without an ankle monitor and gave him back both his motorcycle and passport. He's been a bit of a headache to the Ukrainian government, so we suspect they're hoping he'll quietly disappear from the country. So the American Citizen Services, the U.S. Embassy, and the State Department, they sent a letter to these countries, tipping them off that, and this was on August the 3rd. This is what makes this so strange for me. I don't understand why this was sent on August the 3rd when on August the 2nd, RT had reported that he had been apprehended at the border with Hungary. That's the part that doesn't quite line up for me. But on August the 3rd, according to these documents from the Gateway Pundit, they tipped off these countries and they told them that Gonzalo may be heading your way. And the thinking was that the Ukraine authorities are hoping that Gonzalo will quietly disappear. And the Gateway Pundit reports that that was the thinking from Gonzalo, from his attorneys, from everybody involved. That when they handed Gonzalo his passport and his motorcycle, that they were basically telling him to disappear. But that's not what turned out. And for some reason, on the 2nd, he was arrested he wasn't allowed to cross over to Hungary and was arrested by the Ukrainian authorities and sent to the prison in Kharkov. Contradicting his hunch, the Ukrainians may want to get rid of him, Lira was arrested at the Hungarian border and sent back to prison in Kharkov, where ACS spoke with his lawyer on August 21st, ahead of his hearing on August 22nd. ACS is the American Citizen Services. So go to the Gateway Pundit. It's on the homepage, this article. The dates for me don't line up. I'm not sure what happened here. On August the 1st, he made his way to the border. He posted the videos. On August the 2nd, RT reported that he was apprehended. The U.S. State Department must have known that on August the 2nd he was apprehended. Why then on August the 3rd did the American Citizen Services send a letter to Hungary telling them to be on the lookout for Gonzalo Lira? Maybe I'm missing something. Maybe I'm missing something in these documents. I don't know. But that was the article from the Gateway Pundit. Rest in peace, Gonzalo. Let's talk about the chef that the TV chef that decided to do his program from the Kiev Peczersk Lavra, a holy site. He decided to do a cooking program from this very holy site in Kiev. A culinary show is filmed in the Kiev Peczersk Lavra church. And actually, this was also the site, this very holy site, was where Zelensky had a meeting with the armed forces of Ukraine. Banderites were gathered at this very location just a couple of weeks ago. And there was this strange Orwellian 1984 image from the event of Zelensky, images, big poster images of Zelensky speaking to these Banderites gathered in this holy church and monastery. And now you have a cooking show taking place at this monastery, Lavra, this monastery Lavra church. Oh boy. Let's do some clown worlds. We have new images of North Korean troops in Kursk, actually dead, allegedly dead North Korean troops, but you can't make out anything. And I can't really post the images because even these blurry images that you can't tell what or who these soldiers or these people are, or where this is even located. I can't post this on YT because it'll probably mean that the video will get taken down. But go look for the latest images that, according to the Zelensky regime, is absolute proof that North Korean troops are in Kursk. I can't tell anything when I look at these images. They're probably maybe 1 pixel, 1 pixel better than the video that I put up yesterday of the North Korean troops. Why don't they show any photo, video proof of North Koreans? Something? I don't know why the Zelensky regime doesn't have any proof and why they keep on gaslighting us with these blurry, pixelated images of North Korean troops, allegedly. Who even knows who these people are? These pixelated, blurry images of people walking around in snow, or a group of people lined up in the snow, allegedly the casualties, the North Korean casualties. That's what they're claiming these people are, but you can't make out anything. If North Korean troops are in Ukraine, then fine. I still don't understand what the big deal is if 10,000 North Koreans are in Ukraine, in Kursk. I don't understand what the big deal is if you have 10,000 North Korean troops in Kursk. Ukraine has 50 countries in NATO, the 34 or 40 or however many countries are in NATO. The entire collective West and NATO are fighting against Russia. And Ukraine and the collective West is concerned about 10,000 North Koreans, if this is even true. But if this is true, then why not post some images without the pixelation? I don't know. AMK mapping, pro-Ukrainian AMK mapping said, hey, at least this proof of North Koreans is 10 pixels rather than 2. This image I can post and you can see it because you can't make out anything. So that's the video, everybody. Duran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, ODYSEE, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. Go to the Duran shop, pick up some merch like what I'm wearing in this video update. A link to our shop is in the description box down below. Take care.